So I think it's time to make another zoom transition, and this time we're gonna make a target zoom transition. If you're new to this channel, make sure to consider that subscribe button. That would be really appreciated as well, and also notifications on to never miss any future videos, and a thumbs up would be highly appreciated as well. For those of you that are in the Patreon LumaFusion Masterclass course, you all know that this transition is already a part of a session inside the course. But the video which is on Patreon in the LumaFusion Masterclass course is a little bit more detailed and in-depth of how you create the different type of shakes and all of that. And the reason why this video is so long is because we're gonna make 3 different types of target zoom transitions. And to give you a heads up, the first one is really simple. You can make this in 20 seconds. The next one is a little bit worse. You're gonna need to kind of follow the numbers. I put some numbers in the description as well, so you kind of want to put those numbers in your target zoom transition to make this invisible easy ease curve. I'm going to talk more about that in the video on the iPad as well. And the last one is with a little bit of shake to the transition. So in this video we're gonna do 3 target zoom transitions. So let's just jump over to the iPad and start the tutorial. There is 3 ways of creating a target zoom within LumaFusion. I also have a video in my LumaFusion Masterclass course where I go more in depth on how you can create a shake target zoom and so on. But in this video we're gonna go on and we're gonna create just a simple target zoom, which is really smooth, just like the smoothness of what you can achieve within Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro 10. And I'm also going to show you the 2 other examples on how you can make this super fast and how you can also make it with just a tiny shake to the zoom itself. So now I deleted all the target zooms within the sequence right here, and we're going to start over and create the target zoom. And you really want to create the target zoom at 10 frames and then save it as a preset, and you can then apply it to another cut, which is let's say +5 or -5, so either 15 frames or 5 frames. I don't want to go any above 15 or any below 5 because you're gonna lose the smoothness of your transition. So the first thing we're gonna do is to make a 10 frame cut at the end of each clip here. And the reason why you want to make it on the end of the clip and not at the beginning of the next clip is simply because you only have to apply the target zoom to one section of 2 clips. So we're only going to apply it to the clip which is in front of the next one. So the way we're going to do this is to pinch to zoom in, and we're going to make a 10 frame cut. This is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we now have a 10 frame cut here. The next thing we're gonna do is to go into edit on this clip, and we're gonna go over to color and effects, and we're gonna select the pick whip tool here, and we're gonna choose the butterfly effect. We're going to take the radius down to 0, and we're also going to take the scale down to 0. And once we've done that, we're going to start animating where we want the target zoom to go. So in this first example, we're just going to do the super fast way of how you can make this yourself in just a few seconds. And that is simply by adding a keyframe at the beginning here, and then go to the end, and then add another keyframe. And on the end keyframe here, you take the blue circle here on the scale radius and on the butterfly effect, and you drag that to a position where you want to zoom in. So let's say we want to zoom in down here at the bottom of the water here. And what's really important is to find a point where you want to zoom in. So if we take this scale now and increase the scale a little bit, you will see that it zooms in on the circle here. So if we take this up to, let's say around 80, and now the crucial thing is to find a point within your video or your photo where you want to zoom into. So we're going to choose this point here right to the left of the branch here, and we're going to put the blue circle right in there like that. So now if you go back to the beginning here, you will see that it starts to zoom from the middle, and then it zooms in towards the middle and then down to the left side. And we don't want to do that, so now we found the point where we want to zoom into, and we're going to go back to the first keyframe here, and we're going to take this circle again and drag it to the same position. So now you will have a target zoom which is going directly into the spot where you want to zoom in, just like this. So once you're done with this, you can go over to the beginning and you can go over to the water droplet. You can go and find the short zoom, and I don't recommend that you take the amount higher than 1.5 because it's going to be very blurry once you have this on your timeline. So the best amount of blur is between 900 and 1.5. So once we adjusted the amount here, we're going to go to the beginning of the clip and make a keyframe. We can now take the circle here and drag to the same position where we made the butterfly effect, which is around here. And we're now going to go to the end here and make sure that we make a new keyframe and select the same position of the short zoom as we did with the butterfly effect. And once you've done that, you can go back to the beginning here on the first keyframe and you can take the amount down to 0. So once you change the amount to 0, you can go out to your timeline here and you can do a scrub through on your touch bar here to see how the effect looks. But the problem with this going into the next scene here is that it has a sudden stop. So the way we want to create movement in the next one here is to go into edit on the next clip and then go to the beginning and over to frame and fit and make a keyframe. And then we're going to go 5 more frames like that. And we're going to take the size and increase that to 120. So if we now go out to our timeline, we will have some motion in the clip that the target zoom is going into. So we can now do a playback of this transition here and see how it looks. Perfect. So that is the first example of how you can create a target zoom. And if you want to save this as a preset and apply it to another section or another part of your clip, you simply go over to the effect here and over to the color and effects, and you tap on the star with the plus inside and save this as a preset. The preset will then be found under the star on the top right corner here, and it will be under the name as you choose for your preset. But we're going to go over to the timeline here again, and we're simply going to select this clip here and tap on the clipboard and then copy the effect. And we're going to go over to the end here as well. And we're going to make sure that we have 10 frames here as well. So again, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and make a cut. And now we have 10 frames. And we're going to select this clip. Then we're going to go down to the clipboard again, and we're going to paste all the effects. We can now go into edit on this clip, and we can go over to the butterfly effect. And let's say we want this to zoom in on something else. So then we're going to go to the beginning of the clip here, and we're going to find a point where we want this to zoom in. And let's say we're going to use this tree right here. So on the tree, if we go a little bit to the middle here and just drag this up, you can see, if we uncheck this short zoom here, you can see here that we have a wider spot on the tree, which is right here, and we're going to use that as an indication of where we want to zoom in. So I'm just going to delete this keyframe right here, and we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to take the blue circle here, and we're going to drag that up to that spot on the tree, just like that. Now we're going to go to the end here on the last keyframe, and we're going to take the blue dot again and drag over to the same mark on the tree here, which is here. So going to the beginning, and you can see that we zoom towards that tree, but the zoom is kind of going continuously and there is no motion in the zoom. So what you would like to do is to use keyframes in between here. And the way you want to use those keyframes is to start slow and then have a bigger gap on the scale towards the end of the zoom here. That will create a more smoother curve to your zoom, and it will feel more natural and appealing to the eye. So the way we can do this is to adjust some numbers on each keyframe. I'm going to leave all the numbers down in the description below as well, so you can apply those numbers for your own target zoom transition. So the first keyframe here, we're going to leave at 0 on everything. And the only thing we actually have to adjust is the scale. So what we're going to do is to go 1 frame forward in time and then make a new keyframe. And on this keyframe, we're going to choose +2. So what we can do is to actually delete this last one here, so it's easier to follow along on the tutorial here. So on the next keyframe here, the second keyframe, we're going to choose the amount of 0.02. Then we're going to go 1 frame forward in time and make a new keyframe. And on this one, we're going to choose 5. Once we've done that, we're going to go over and move 1 more frame advanced in time. And then on the next one here, we're going to choose 10. Now you can follow along as I make these keyframes and the numbers here, and as I mentioned, all the numbers will be listed down in the description below, and this is numbers for a 10 frame cut of your video. So once we applied all the numbers here to every single keyframe, we can go on and make sure that we have the blue circle here, always following the spot that we want to zoom into. And the way that you do that is to go over the keyframes just like this, and you make sure that the blue circle is always on the point that you want to zoom into. Zoom a little bit out on the last one here to find the point, which is here, and then we can zoom back to 96 here, just like that. Go and check the other keyframes here as well. So once we get back to our timeline here, you can now see that we have a more smoother zoom to the target zoom, as we kind of created this invisible curve to the zoom, so it feels better to the eye. Just like that. So instead of having the continuous zoom going from 0 to hero, from 0 to the zoomed in position, which will kind of create this continuously zoom towards the subject or object you want to zoom into, it's a lot better to create this invisible curve, and you do that by changing the number between each keyframe that you make. And you really want to have a closer gap between the numbers to begin with, and then increase the number over time. As you can see here, we have, it goes from 0.02 to 0.05, 0.10, and then at the end here you can see that it goes from 0.53 over to 0.73 and then over to 0.96. So there's a bigger gap between each number here at the end than we have at the beginning. And by making keyframes just like this, you will create that invisible curve to your transitions, which is kind of the same as we make easy ease transitions within Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro 10. So now that we created this smooth target transition here, if we go back to the clip which is before, you can see that it jumps a little bit. And the reason why this jumps a little bit is because this one is zoomed in to 120. And the way that we want to change that is to go into edit on the clip here, and then we want to go to the end and make another keyframe and adjust the size back to its normal position. You can simply go to the end and tap on this square with the arrows pointing in to center the image back to its normal position. So once you've done that, we can take a look here and we can see the transition between these two clips are smooth, and we don't have any jumps in the change of size in the image or video. So now let's do a playback here so you can see how these two target zooms turned out to be here. There we have the first one, and there we have the second one. We really want to add some motion to the clip here as well, which is after the target zoom. So we're going to go on and do that. And we're going to do it the same way. We're going to go into edit. We're going to go to frame and fit and go to the beginning. make a keyframe, and then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more frames, and then we're gonna adjust the position to 120. So once we've done that, you can see that the target zoom is going smooth into the place where we want to target our zoom. And then we have zoom coming in here at the next clip as well, which is creating a seamless transition for these two clips. So now let's do a playback of this last transition here. Perfect. So the next target zoom is with some shake, and we're simply going to copy this effect here one more time. We're going to copy everything, the transition and keyframes and everything, and then we're going to go to the end of this clip right here, and we now going to make a 10 frame cut one more time. And on this one, we're gonna take the size here and take it back to a normal, just like that. And then we're gonna go over to the next clip here, and here is where we made our last keyframe, which is zoomed in to 120. And here we're also gonna go to the end here and then tap on this button to get it back to its normal size. Now back to the timeline here, we're gonna go over to the clip here, which is 10 frames, and select that, and then go to the clipboard and paste the effect. So you can now see that we have the target zoom applied here as well, and it's going the same direction. So the way that we want to change this and also apply sort of shake to it is simply going over to color and effects again, and over to the butterfly effect. And we're gonna go to the beginning here, and we're gonna find a point in the video where we want the zoom to target. So let's target something down here, like in between these two trees here. So I'm gonna place that one there, and we're gonna go to the next keyframe. We're gonna do the exact same thing, place it here, but to create this kind of shake to the target zoom as well, the key is to take the blue circle here and place it just a little bit to the left, right, bottom or top of where you first placed the first one. So on the first one here, you see we have it kind of in the cross between these two trees here, and on the second one we have it a little bit more to the bottom right. And on the next one here, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna place it just a little bit towards the top, and next one, place that a little bit towards the bottom left this time, and the next one a little bit to the, maybe this one can be in the middle again, and just like that. Next one, we're gonna place a little bit to the top right, and so on. And this is the way that you create some sort of shake to your target zoom or any other zoom as you make them inside of a LumaFusion, and you want to add something more dramatic to your zoom. This is a simple way of doing that. And keep in mind that you can always adjust the scale of the last one to find the correct position of the placement of where you want to target your zoom, and then you can take the scale up to the correct amount again. Just like that. So if we go back to our timeline now and we scrub through here, you can see that we have some shake in the zoom here. Maybe not the biggest shake, but you can apply a bigger shake as you wish by going into the keyframes here and then change the position of these to be larger, just like this. Let's see if we can do this quickly here and just adjust the position of them and make sure that we not keep them very centered at the same position here. And if we now go back to our timeline, you can now see that you have more shake to the target zoom. Just like that. So if we go over to the last clip here one more time, and then we go to the frame and fit, make a keyframe at the beginning, and then 5 more frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're gonna zoom this into 120 as well, just like that. And we now have our 3 target zooms applied to the 3 different shots there. So now let's go on and do a playback of all these 3 different target zooms so you can see how they work in action. So there you have the shake added to the last one here. And if you want this to be a little bit longer now, you can go on and you can copy this effect or apply it if you saved it as a preset. What we're going to do is to simply put on this marker here. So we remove the clip snapping and we're going to delete this and extend this back to the normal position here. And then we're going to make a larger cut to this. So we now have, let's say, 15 frames. And on this clip, we're now going to reapply the effect here. So that means the effect is now lasting longer, so it's easier to see the target zoom with the shake here. So let's do another playback of these two last one here, and you pay attention to the screen here on the kind of left side to see if you can see the shake in the video here. Perfect. So with that said, that's how you create this super awesome target zoom in LumaFusion, and I highly recommend that you check out the numbers in the description below so you can put those into the preset that you are making yourself. So once you save that, you can simply apply to whatever 15, 10 or 7, 6 frame clip, and then you just go into the simple keyframes and adjust the position or where you want this to zoom in, and you're good to go, and you have the perfect kind of easy zoom in transition. And if you don't want the target zoom and just want the basic zoom, what you do is to simply place the blue circle in the middle on every single keyframe, and you have one additional transition. So that leaves us with 4 transitions for this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this tiny, short, very long tutorial on how to make these target zoom transitions. And as always, make sure to that subscribe button if you are interested in helping out this channel, and if you don't want to miss any other future videos of LumaFusion or gear that I might throw at this channel. It really helps a lot just getting a simple sub and a thumbs up. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you guys in the next one.